Hey everybody, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. This is where we talk about why helicopters need to be so loud. Just kidding. This is where I talk about book stuff. There is a helicopter in case you didn't. Anyways, hi. I read this book last month called Swamplandia. If you watched my wrap up, I kind of talk about it in there, but I just had such a weird mixed bag of emotions about this. I had some feelers, and I kind of want to do a full review on it because it was really an interesting book, and I only rated it like 3 stars. But I still want to talk about it. I want to talk about it a lot. So I don't know. It's very conflicting in my bones. So this will not be spoiler free. I really don't know how to give spoiler free reviews. Like, I feel like I have to tell you everything that happened if I'm going to review the book. I can't just like I can give you a little synopsis, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to review it. So, this is Swamplandia by Karen Russell. First of all, you'll see, this is such a weird cover, and I still don't really know exactly, like, are these supposed to be people that we know in the story? I don't know. Swamplandia, it's the tale of the 3 big tree children. There's Ava, Kiwi, and Osceola. I guess I should maybe put them in order of birth. The first child, Kiwi, he's a boy. He is 17, I believe. Then there's Osceola, who's 16. And then Ava, who I don't think they really say exactly how old she was, but she's a couple years younger, just a couple years younger than Osceola. So in my head, she was like 13 or 14. And they live on a little island off Florida that has a alligator wrestling kind of theme park on it. They live there with their dad, Chief Big Tree, their grandpa Sawtooth, and their mother, Hilola Big Tree. And Hilola is kind of like the star of the show at Swamplandia. Like, she is the main attraction, and she's basically why people come there. So she does this stunt where she climbs up onto a diving board and dives into a pool of gators. But the Big Tree family call them Seths for some reason. And they talk about that a little bit at the beginning of the book, but I'm not sure if they actually tell you exactly why they're called Seths. But so Hilola dives into a pool of Seths and swims underneath them to the other side, and that's like the main attraction. The Chief Big Tree also does wrestling and stuff like that, but it's mostly Hilola. And at the very beginning of the book, they tell you that Hilola's recently died. She had ovarian cancer, and it was kind of sudden. They didn't really tell their children too much about it, so at least to the children it was fairly sudden. They knew that she had been sick, but they didn't realize how sick she was, and so it was very traumatizing. And being that they live on this island, they were homeschooled by their mother. And they're a very tight-knit family. Like, they have all this interaction with tourists, but it's not personal at all. Even some of the tourists who come back and, like, they're kind of regulars, and the Big Trees kind of know these people. Their family is kind of closed off, and they see these tourists just as tourists and not as friends or anything like that. Living on this island, being homeschooled, having a very tight-knit family with not much interaction with other people, the children are very naive. They're smart kids, and they know very practical skills for living on an island in the swamp and for dealing with Seths all day. They're very skillful in that aspect, but they have no idea what life on the mainland, as they call it, is like. And so the story comes in shortly after Hilola's death, and the business at Swamplandia has slowly tapered off. There aren't tourists coming in anymore because their main attraction isn't there anymore. And as much as Ava wants to recreate her mother's Seth dive, like, she's just not old enough. And once people stop coming, they just stop coming to Swamplandia. So Kiwi, the oldest brother, he finds out basically that they are in debt from their mother's medical expenses. They're in debt from things that they've bought for the park. And he decides that as a man, because, you know, he's almost a man, he should go off and he should go to school, because he thinks that he can just get into college because he's smart, and that he will be able to provide and send money back to Swamplandia so that his family won't need to move from Swamplandia, that they won't have to move to the mainland. So he takes it upon himself. He doesn't tell anybody. His father would have definitely been opposed to it because he's very kind of prideful, and he doesn't think that they belong on the mainland. So Kiwi steals off. He finds that life on the mainland is not what he expected it to be like. You can't just say, I'm smart, I need my high school equivalency exam. They're not just going to give it to you. You're not just going to get your GED and then go on to Harvard. It just doesn't work like that. So he finds a job at the competitor for Swamplandia, aquatic theme park called World of Darkness, that has kind of this like hell theme going on. So it's like very strange, kind of funny, because to the big trees, the World of Darkness is like hell. It's hell coming for them, basically. It's stealing their business, it's putting them out. So it's ironic that Kiwi goes and he finds a job there. And he's like, you know, I mean, I think that maybe we can relate to this sometimes, where you read a word in a book and you just pronounce it how you would in your head. That's how you say it, because you don't hear anybody else saying that word as an indication of how you should pronounce it. So he's like going around, he's using all this strange vocabulary. He's only 17, but he talks like he's like a 40-year-old gentleman, the poor kid, and he's ruthlessly picked on for a while. He finds a friend, but I don't know. He's just a strange kid. He doesn't know how to act. And while this is going on, we have Ava and Osceola and Chief Big Tree at Swamplandia, but Chief Big Tree goes off on a kind of a business trip, and the girls don't really know where he's going. He ends up being gone for weeks, and while he's gone, Osceola is talking to the dead using a talking board that she made, and she falls in love with the ghost of a young man. Eventually a dredging ship comes up on their island, and Osceola has this story about a young dredger who was injured back in, like, I don't know, years and years ago. Back when they were trying to dredge parts of Florida to make normal land for planting, for farming. And so she falls in love with this ghost of, what's his name? His last name was Thanksgiving. Wish I could remember. Lewis Thanksgiving. So her ghost boyfriend is Lewis Thanksgiving, and she runs off to elope with him, and she takes this dredging boat that she shouldn't know how to work, and Ava's kind of left alone. And the night that Osceola runs off with Louis Thanksgiving, a dude comes, and he's like kind of an old man, maybe middle-aged, I guess, that's not old. And he's the Birdman, and he's called the Birdman because he talks to birds, uses bird calls, and he was scaring off the buzzards from Swamplandia. So he's like the only adult on this fucking island with this like 13-year-old girl, and Ava realizes that Aussie has run off, so she's very distraught, obviously. She doesn't know what to do. She thinks that her sister's gone to this, like, portal into the underworld, kind of, where she will be able to have Louis Thanksgiving and be able to marry him, and he'll be maybe, like, more corporal, or I don't know, something like that. It's very strange. There's a lot of magical realism in this book. And so the Birdman offers to help Ava find Aussie, and he's very adamant that he believes in this like underworld thing and that he can take Ava there, but she needs a guide. So he's guiding how long have I been seeing Eva for? Her name's Ava. Sorry, that's confusing. What's wrong with me? So he's guiding Ava. They're just in like this little like pole boat that he's like moving, and I don't know, this part makes my stomach hurt when I think about it, because it's this grown man and this very vulnerable 13-year-old girl, and nobody knows where she is. Their dad left them on this fucking island for weeks. He doesn't know if they're okay. He hasn't called them or written to them. And the only person who was there with her, Aussie, is gone. So now it's just Ava, and she's very, very naive. And she thinks that the Birdman is going to lead her to this underworld place where her sister must be. And he's telling her all along that we need to hurry up, we need to catch her quick, and they're like staying on these strange little bars of land in this swamp, and there are like abandoned houses, and just, it's very eerie, and you know that something is not right with this guy. But Ava seems so, okay, you know something's not right. However, you don't really have anything that you can put your finger on and say, he's doing this, and this is what I don't like. There's like, I don't know, does that make sense? You just get an icky feeling, and you don't really know why, but you want to hope that he's just gonna lead Ava to her sister, and then everything will be okay. But that's not what happens. What happens is they get to where they think Aussie is going to be, and they see some men, and Ava's thinking that she should try to communicate with these men to see if they can help her find Aussie. But the Birdman says, no, you can't speak to them. They're dead, and they will find us and they will hurt us. So Ava believes him, and she zips her lips. And then they beach again for the night, and the Birdman rapes Ava, and it was very sad. It was very sad, and she's just so fucking young. Like, she's young, she's 13, so she's young, and also she just doesn't have real life skills. So that was very upsetting, and she manages to get away from the Birdman. Her mom in her head tells her to run. She does. And while this is happening, Kiwi at the World of Darkness has managed to save her girl from drowning in one of their pools, and he finds out that it is the daughter of the man who owns the World of Darkness, so he becomes like kind of an instant celebrity for like a week. You know how that works. The flavor of the week, basically. And he uses that celebrity to try to get in on the World of Darkness's newest attraction, which is like the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but it's like seaplanes. So it's like the 4 seaplanes. I don't know. It's very strange. It's very... World of Darkness really cracked me up. That was great. So Kiwi is able to train as a pilot so he can fly one of these seaplanes, and the first time he's flying, not by himself, he has the instructor with him, but the first time he's flying the plane actually by himself, he sees this girl in the swamps and she's just like waving and like, help me, help me. And he doesn't know who it is, but for some reason he still decides to land and see who it is. I don't know. It's very strange. And it turns out to be Aussie. And Louis Thanksgiving had left her at the altar, so she had no way of getting back to Swamplandia. And while this is happening, Ava, who had run from the Birdman, she was still trying to, you know, make sure she didn't get caught by him again. She hears them and she like goes, and I don't know, the kids are reunited. So that was all very strange and sudden. And then they get taken back to the mainland and they get in contact with Chief Big Tree, who had been working at a casino, I guess, this whole time. And then they like just move to the mainland. They I don't know, it's very strange. Ava never tells anybody about being sexually assaulted. They never go after the Birdman. So that was also very like sad and unsatisfying. Like, if that's gonna happen, at least let people know so that they can, I don't know, I'm not gonna presume how she should act after being assaulted, but I don't know. The end, it was just very, it was an end, and I loved these characters so much in this book. It was like watching a movie in my head, sort of. And I loved the setting of the swamp, and I loved so much about this, but the paths that these characters took, I don't know. I feel like I don't know what else they should have done, but I don't really like what they did. And I don't know. I can't tell you exactly how I feel about it still. It's been a couple weeks and I've talked through it. I talked to my husband about it because like while I was reading it, I was like, what the fuck, over and over again. But I still don't know, and I've just reviewed it here and I still can't tell you exactly how I feel about it. So I don't know. This is a bad ending for a review video, but I think people should read Swamplandia because it was such an interesting book. It was, I don't know, it was kind of cheeky. The characters were great, like I said. It was very strange, and there's spectrophilia. I don't know if any of you weirdos are into that. I don't know. That's Swamplandia, you guys. That's Swamplandia by Karen Russell. I'd really like to try some of her other stuff because I think that this was well written. I just didn't necessarily, I don't know, you guys, quit asking me. This is how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel. This is it. This is the end of the video. I'm going to stop talking now. I will see you in another video eventually, I'm sure. Until then, see you later, alligators.